The Pokémon anime follows the adventures of Ash Ketchum, a Pokémon trainer from Pallet Town who travels the world engaging in Pokémon battles. The franchise is undoubtedly a huge cultural icon and is something pretty much everybody in the Western world has heard of. However, did you know that Ash is not the trainer's original name? The story behind Ash's original name is a rather interesting one, and revolves around what the famous trainer is called over in the show's country of origin, Japan. In the Japanese versions of Pokemon media, Ash is instead called Satoshi, and the reasoning behind choosing this name was far from random. Satoshi, in fact, is named after Satoshi Tajiri, Pokemon's creator and CEO of Game Freak, the developers of most of the Pokemon games. Way before the anime, the whole Pokemon franchise originated as 2 video games for Nintendo's Game Boy system, the Japanese-only Pokemon Red and Green. Satoshi spent 6 years working on the games and was inspired by his childhood hobby of collecting insects. He thought it'd be cool if kids could collect creatures like he did, but in an all-new, modern way, and this motivation then saw the creation of the Pokemon games and everything that followed. To commemorate Satoshi's hard work, Satoshi was selected as one of the default names for the main character in the original Japanese games. Then, when the games were turned into an anime the following year, the name Satoshi was then made the trainer's official name, and it has been that way ever since. That's not all though. There's also a similar story behind the name for Ash's rival, Gary Oak. Shigeru Miyamoto, the famous creator behind titles like Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and Donkey Kong, assisted Satoshi with the original game's development. During this time, Satoshi and Miyamoto became close, and comparable to Ash's Japanese name being named after Satoshi, Gary's Japanese name is named after Shigeru. Over in Japan, Gary Oak is instead called Shigeru Okido, with this being one of the default names in the games and then going on to be Gary's official name in the anime. As for the story behind the English names for Ash and Gary, things are more open to debate. One thing that is for sure though is that Ash's surname was created by localizers for kids to be a pun on the phrase Ketchum, with this mirroring the show's popular English catchphrase, "Gotta catch 'em all." 4Kids created this catchphrase due to wanting to include a tag name for marketing purposes into the theme song. They went through various different phrases before settling on "Gotta catch 'em all," with one of these instead being "Catch 'em if you can." As for Ash's first name, it's speculated that this could be a subtle reference to Satoshi, as the letters in Ash's name can be found in the name Satoshi. Another explanation is that the localizers decided to name Ash after a type of tree called the ash tree, and then continue with this theme for his rival's name, Gary Oak. Oak, of course, being another tree reference. As for what Ash and Gary are named in other languages, according to the Pokemon Wiki, Bulbapedia, most territories decided to pick the English names. Some regions though, particularly in Asia like China and Korea, used the Japanese ones. It's not just Ash and Gary though. Pokemon has changed many of the names in the anime and games to sound less Japanese. Additionally, whilst 4Kids was in charge of the English version of the show, from 1998 to 2005, many other Japanese themes would be changed for Western audiences. For example, most Japanese foods were changed to foods more recognizable to Western audiences. This led to scenes like having Brock call the food things like jelly-filled donuts instead of rice balls. 4Kids would also edit the food out and replace them with more Western food, such as sandwiches. Other name changes included the Cerulean City gym leader Kasumi, who became Misty, the Pewter City gym leader Takashi, who became Brock, and the Team Rocket members Musashi and Kojiro, who became Jesse and James. In fact, localizers have adjusted the names of many of the major characters in the franchise, including the names of many of the Pokemon themselves. Censored Gaming has many other topics like this to cover in the world of Pokemon, so if this is something that interests you, please make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below, and until the next time, thank you for watching.